I'm Brenda Coleman, 30 years old, and I walked into a luxury car dealership in Philadelphia, never expecting a face-off with my family. It was the launch night of a striking new model, the kind that drew polished elites and whispered deals into a single glowing showroom. Crystal lights reflected off flawless paintwork as laughter and champagne filled the air. I eased inside quietly, dressed to disappear, hoping to remain just another shadow among the crowd. That hope vanished the second I saw them. My family stood near the center display, confident and loud, there to purchase a car for my older brother. The moment he noticed me, his eyes hardened and his mouth twisted into a cruel smile. Here to clean the floors. All you can do here is swallow your envy, Brenda. His words cut clean and sharp. His wife's laughter followed, shrill and deliberate, while my parents looked at me with familiar coldness, their stares slicing deeper than insults. They boasted proudly about my brother's latest financial conquest, speaking as if I wasn't standing right there. I let my lips curve into a calm smile, even as my heart raced with a truth none of them could imagine. I carried a secret tied to this very place, powerful enough to crack their perfect image, but I kept it locked inside. Moments later, my manager hurried over, straightening his jacket as he bowed slightly. "Sorry, Miss Coleman, your VIP room is ready as always." Time seemed to freeze. My father stiffened, my mother gasped softly, and the smug certainty drained from their faces. I said nothing, allowing silence to do the damage. They had no idea that this was only the beginning, that everything they believed about me was about to collapse. Growing up in Philadelphia, expectations wrapped around me like the suffocating heat of summer. The Coleman name carried influence, and from the time I was a child, it was clear who was meant to inherit that legacy. My parents were always immaculate, measured in every word and gesture, and all their pride rested squarely on Gregory. When I was 10 years old in 2005, I already understood that I was secondary. At 14, Gregory spoke confidently about investments and markets, his ambition applauded at every family dinner. My parents watched him with glowing approval, convinced he was destined to command the family's financial empire. My love for cars, however, was treated like a flaw. I sketched engines and body lines for hours, imagining speed and precision, only to be met with sighs of disappointment. "Cars are for boys," my mother would say, her tone dismissive. "Not prestigious enough for a Coleman." My father agreed, brushing off my drawings as childish distractions. Gregory mocked me openly, calling my dreams greasy nonsense meant for mechanics. I absorbed every word quietly, turning their doubt into fuel. By 13, I found refuge at a small neighborhood dealership. After school, I'd slip inside just to watch, memorizing the rhythm of sales conversations and the sound of engines being tuned. I begged the owner, Mr. Thompson, for work, and though he laughed, he let me sweep floors and file paperwork. I loved every second. I wasn't just cleaning, I was studying. The way customers' eyes lit up, the confidence of a good pitch, the pride behind a polished hood. Mr. Thompson noticed my instincts early, handing me manuals and pricing guides, telling me I had a natural eye. By 15, I was running errands and earning pocket money, listening closely to every conversation. At home, I hid magazines under my bed and read automotive books by flashlight. When my mother caught me once, she tore the magazine from my hands and warned me to focus on something worthy. My father lectured me endlessly about reputation and tradition. Gregory promised I'd end up wiping oil off garage floors. I never argued, I just kept going. That dealership became my education, my rebellion, and my purpose. Years later, that fire hadn't faded. At 22 in 2017, I was a sophomore at the University of Pennsylvania, studying business only to satisfy my parents. Every lecture felt hollow. Cars still called to me louder than ever. When I finally told my parents I was leaving school to pursue the automotive industry, their response was brutal. My father accused me of destroying my future. My mother said I would regret it. Gregory laughed, saying I'd be lucky to sell hubcaps. They cut me off financially, emotionally, completely. I moved into a cramped apartment in South Philly with barely anything to my name. I survived on instant noodles and stubborn determination, sending resumes to every dealership I could find. Rejection became routine, but I refused to quit. My turning point came in 2018 at an automotive trade show in Philadelphia. There, I met Vincent Price, a giant in the luxury car world. I gathered every ounce of courage I had and pitched him my ideas about customer experience. Instead of brushing me off, he listened. He saw something. The next day, I walked into his dealership and began at the bottom. The work was exhausting, the standards ruthless, but I thrived. I learned every detail, every tactic, every nuance of negotiation. Vincent taught me that selling wasn't about products, it was about vision. By 2019, I was handling VIP clients, saving aggressively, and sharpening my instincts. My family still mocked me, still dismissed my success, but their voices no longer mattered. I was building something real. That brought me back to this night in 2025, standing in that gleaming showroom, face to face with the people who never believed in me. They paraded through the space like royalty, praising Gregory's supposed success, assuming I was nothing more than an outsider. Their insults rolled off me now. I watched them admire cars they didn't understand, talking loudly about entitlement and status. I let them speak. I let them underestimate me. When my manager finally addressed me with respect, the shock on their faces was everything I'd waited for. Gregory's confidence shattered, his mouth opening without sound. His jaw tightened, his eyes darting around the room, searching for an explanation that didn't exist. The truth stood right in front of them, undeniable and irreversible, and Gregory's smirk vanished, his jaw tightening. Vicky's laugh choked off, her eyes wide with confusion. Mother caught her breath, her hand clutching her purse. Father stood frozen, his cufflinks forgotten, his face pale. The crowd around us quieted, sensing the shift. Ronald, oblivious to the tension, continued. "The team's waiting for your final approval on the launch." I nodded. Still smiling, letting the moment sink in. Gregory stammered, his voice unsteady. "What's this, some kind of mistake?" Vicky jumped in, her tone defensive. "She's not, you can't mean her." Mother tried to recover her voice, sharp but shaky. "Brenda, what's going on? Explain yourself." Father finally spoke, his words clipped. "This is absurd. She's no one here." Their attempts to brush it off only deepened their shock. They'd spent years dismissing me, assuming I'd never rise above their expectations. Now their world was crumbling and I hadn't said a word. I could see it in their eyes. Panic, disbelief, a desperate need to rewrite the moment. I kept my silence, letting Ronald's words do the talking. My family's faces were a mix of denial and embarrassment, their confidence unraveling. Gregory tried to laugh it off, but it came out forced. "This is a joke, right, Brenda? Tell me you're not." He trailed off, unable to finish. Vicky's eyes darted around, searching for an explanation that wouldn't come. Mother's composure cracked, her lips trembling as she whispered to Father. He just stared at me, his usual authority gone. The truth was out, and it hit them harder than any argument I could have made. I didn't need to boast or explain my presence here. Ronald's difference said it all. As the crowd resumed its buzz, I turned to walk toward the VIP room, leaving my family in their stunned silence. They had underestimated me for years, but this moment wasn't about revenge, it was about truth. Their words had stung, but I'd built something they couldn't ignore. I didn't look back, knowing they'd follow their questions unanswered. That night wasn't over, and neither was our story. The air in the dealership felt heavier after Ronald's words. I standing in the VIP room's doorway as my family's stunned faces stared back at me. The crowd's murmurs faded, and all eyes were on us. Mother Carol clutched her purse, her composure fraying. Father Walter stood rigid, his usual authority shaken. Gregory's smirk was gone, replaced by a flicker of unease. Vicky Ramsay, his wife, fidgeted, her confidence unraveling. They'd spent years dismissing me, but now the truth was out, and I was done staying silent. I stepped forward, my voice steady but sharp. "You've spent my whole life telling me I'd never amount to anything," I said, locking eyes with Mother. "You called my dreams childish. Said I'd never belong in a place like this." I turned to Father. "You agreed. Always pushing me to fit your mold, never once asking what I wanted." Gregory shifted, but I didn't let him interrupt. "And you, Gregory, mocked me every chance you got, called my passion a joke, said I'd end up scrubbing floors." Vicky opened her mouth, but I cut her off. "Don't, Vicky," you laughed right along with him, acting like I was beneath you. My words hung in the air, each one a release of years of pent-up frustration. I wasn't yelling, I didn't need to. The truth was loud enough. Mother's face palled, but she tried to regain control. "Brenda, we only wanted the best for you," she said, her voice trembling. "You were so stubborn, chasing cars instead of a real career." Father nodded, his tone defensive. "We thought you'd fail, Brenda. We were protecting you." Gregory jumped in, his voice forced. "This doesn't change anything. You got lucky, that's all." Vicky's eyes darted to him, then back to me, her words weak. "We didn't know, we didn't mean it like that." Their apologies were hollow. Scramble to save face in front of the crowd. I shook my head unmoved. "You don't get to rewrite the past now," I Said you never believed in me and I don't need your approval anymore. Before they could respond, Joyce Carter, my lead designer, stepped forward. At 38, Joyce was a force, sharp, creative, and fiercely loyal. Ms. Coleman didn't just build this dealership, she said, her voice ringing with pride. She designed the exclusive model we're launching tonight. The crowd murmured, impressed. Freddie Lang, my head of sales, joined her, his 32-year-old energy infectious. Brenda's vision brought us here, he said. She worked with engineers, pushed for innovation, and made this car reality. Connie Hart, my marketing director, only 29 but brilliant, added. She's the heart of this place. Every client knows her name. Their words weren't just support, they were proof of what I'd built, a legacy my family couldn't dismiss. Gregory's face re-ended, his voice rising. You designing cars? That's ridiculous. But the crowd's attention was on Joyce, Freddie, and Connie, their confidence drowning out his denial. Mother tried again, her tone softer. Brenda, we're proud of you. Really, let's talk about this. Father chimed in, his voice strained. We can move past this as a family. Vicky nodded, her smile forced. We didn't realize how far you'd come. Their words felt like a last-ditch effort to salvage their pride, but I wasn't buying it. You're only saying that because you're standing in my dealership, I said, my voice firm. I built this without you. Despite you, your pride means nothing to me now. The room was silent, the weight of my words settling over everyone. I turned to Joyce, Freddie, and Connie, nodding my thanks. They stood by me not out of obligation, but because they believed in what we'd created together. Gregory clenched his fists, his ego bruised. You think you're better than us now? He snapped. I met his gaze, unflinching. I don't need to be better than you, Gregory. I'm enough. Mother's eyes glistened, but I didn't waver. Father looked away, unable to meet my stare. Vicky's hands trembled, her usual poise gone. They'd come here to celebrate Gregory, but now they were facing the daughter they'd underestimated for years. I walked toward the center of the showroom where the new model gleamed under the lights. This car, I said, addressing the crowd but loud enough for my family to hear, represents years of work, not just mine but my team's. We didn't wait for permission, we built it. The audience applauded their approval. A stark contrast to my family's silence. Joyce whispered, you've got this. Brenda, Freddie grinned, giving me a nod. Connie handed me a tablet with the final launch details, her smile unwavering. Their support was my strength, a reminder that I'd found a family in those who valued me. As I prepared to unveil the car, I glanced at my family one last time. They stood together, isolated in their shock, their apologies unanswered. I didn't need their regret or their praise. I'd spent years proving myself to myself, and that was enough. The crowd's anticipation grew, and I stepped forward, ready to show the world what I'd built. 2 weeks after that explosive night, the fallout began to unfold. I standing in a Philadelphia convention center, my heart pounding with pride. The annual Automotive Excellence Awards had named me Outstanding Dealership Owner, an honor that echoed through the industry. The room buzzed with applause as I accepted the gleaming trophy, my name flashing across screens. Social media erupted, posts on X hailed my journey. Local papers ran headlines about the self-made woman behind Philly's top luxury dealership. My team, Joyce, Freddie, Connie, stood by me, their smiles wide as we celebrated years of hard work. But for my family, the spotlight wasn't so kind. Word of the dealership incident had spread like wildfire. Clips of Gregory's arrogant display, his loud boasts about his real success, and his sneering dismissal of me as a nobody circulated online, shared by attendees who'd overheard. The posts didn't just mock his words, they exposed his character. Gregory, always the golden child, had built his reputation on charm and family name. But now the world saw him for what he was, a man who belittled others to feel big. His latest business venture, a financial firm he'd touted as untouchable, was unraveling too. I'd heard whispers of his mismanagement, careless investments in risky tech startups, ignored audits, and mounting debts. The numbers didn't lie, and neither did the headlines. A local business journal ran a piece titled Coleman Heirs Firm Faces Financial ruin detailing how his reckless decisions had cost investors millions. The real blow came at the awards event. Martin Wells, a titan in the investment world, was in the audience, his sharp eyes taking in every detail. I'd met Martin briefly years ago through Vincent, and he'd been impressed by my drive. Gregory, desperate to secure Martin's backing for his failing firm, had arranged a meeting that night, banking on his usual swagger to seal the deal. But Martin had seen the exposts, watched the clips of Gregory's behavior at my dealership. He'd also done his homework digging into Gregory's financials. When Gregory approached, all polished smiles and handshakes, Martin cut him off. "I don't work with people who lack integrity," Martin said, his voice calm but final. "Your numbers are a mess and your attitude is worse." Gregory's face fell, his confidence crumbling as Martin walked away, leaving him stranded in a sea of onlookers. For mother and father Carol and Walter, the consequences were just as brutal. They'd spent decades parading Gregory as the perfect heir, boasting to their high society friends about his brilliance. Their social circle, old money families, charity board members had lapped it up, nodding along at their tales of Gregory's success. But now those same friends whispered behind their backs. The story of my triumph, paired with Gregory's public humiliation, was impossible to ignore. Posts on X didn't just praise me, they questioned how Carol and Walter could have underestimated their own daughter while propping up a son whose arrogance outstripped his ability. Invitations to galas dried up, their phone calls went unanswered, and their usual spots at exclusive events were suddenly unavailable. Mother's carefully curated image as a flawless matriarch was cracking, and father's stoic pride couldn't shield him from the gossip. I didn't revel in their downfall, but I felt no pity either. They'd chosen to bet on Gregory to dismiss me as a failure, and now they were paying the price. Vicky, Gregory's wife, tried to salvage their image, posting on X about family unity and misunderstandings, but the comments tore her apart. Husband mocked his sister in public. One reply read, "No wonder she outshone him." Vicky's attempts to spin the narrative only drew more attention to their shame. Gregory, meanwhile, withdrew his usual bravado, replaced by sullen silence. I heard from a mutual contact that he'd been scrambling to find new investors, but his reputation was too damaged. The man who'd once called my dreams grease monkey nonsense was now facing the wreckage of his own ambition. As for me, the awards night was a milestone but not the end. The recognition validated everything I'd built: my dealership, my exclusive car design, my team's loyalty. Joyce sent me a text after the ceremony. "You showed them all, Brenda." Freddie and Connie echoed her, their pride in our shared success palpable. The media coverage brought a flood of new clients, and my dealership's name became synonymous with innovation. I wasn't just a success story, I was a force in the industry, someone who'd turned rejection into fuel. My family's missteps had no place in that victory. Mother and father tried reaching out, leaving voicemails about reconnecting and making things right. I didn't respond. Their words were too late, their motives too clear. Gregory sent a single message, a half-hearted congrats that felt more like a surrender than an olive branch. I left it unread. The world had seen who I was, and more importantly, I knew who I was. Their approval was irrelevant. Now, a week after my award, the tension with my family boiled over. I was Brenda Coleman, 30 years old, working late at my Philadelphia dealership, my desk cluttered with congratulatory notes from clients. My phone pinged relentlessly with notifications, X posts, emails, even messages from industry leaders, all celebrating my rise as a trailblazer in the automotive world. But buried in the flood of support were venomous attacks from the people who should have known me best: my family. Carol, my mother, took to X first, her words dripping with resentment. She posted a thread accusing me of parading my success to shame them, claiming I'd forgotten the sacrifices we made for her. Walter, my father, echoed her, tweeting that I'd twisted the truth to paint them as villains, insisting my achievements were built on their guidance. Gregory, still reeling from his own downfall, called me a self-obsessed opportunist in a biting Post suggesting I'd manipulated the media to inflate my reputation. Vicky. Ramsay, his wife, shared a family photo with a caption about values over vanity, implying I'd traded loyalty for fame. Each post was a calculated jab designed to tarnish my name and salvage their pride. Their accusations hit like a punch, but I refused to flinch. I'd spent my life proving them wrong, and their words now only deepened my resolve. My phone lit up with their calls, mother's voice clipped and demanding left a voicemail. Brenda, you owe us a conversation. Father's message was colder. This public spectacle needs to end. Gregory texted a curt, let's clear the air, while Vicky sent nothing, her silence louder than her posts. Their apologies, if you could call them that, were empty, a last-ditch effort to control the narrative. I ignored them all, deleting their messages without a second thought. I didn't need their validation. I never had. The public's response was immediate and fierce. My story had struck a chord, amplified by local news, calling me a symbol of perseverance. Exusers rallied behind me, flooding my family's posts with sharp rebukes. A longtime client tweeted, Brenda worked for every win. Her family is just bitter they bet on the wrong horse. A local mechanic I'd mentored shared, the Colemans trashed her dreams. Now they're mad she made it. Customers posted glowing reviews of my dealership, recounting how I'd personally ensured their satisfaction, from customizing cars to offering fair deals. One viral thread from a young entrepreneur read, Brenda Coleman's hustle is real, her family's envy is pathetic. My family's posts backfired spectacularly. Gregory's tweet was drowned in replies exposing his hypocrisy. You called nobody, now you're crying foul. One user wrote, mother's thread drew mockery with comments like, you didn't support her, but now you want a piece of her glory. Father's attempt to discredit me sparked memes, one pairing his tweet with my award speech captioned, when your daughter's success stings more than your pride. Vicky's family photo was met with sarcasm. Nice try, but loyalty doesn't mean dragging your sister-in-law online. The internet turned their accusations into fuel for my support, each comment cementing their disgrace. I stayed focused, letting my work speak for me. Joyce, Freddie, and Connie, my trusted team, kept me centered, sharing the outpouring of encouragement from our community. They're digging their own grave, Freddie said, handing me a print out of client testimonials. I nodded, grateful for the family I'd chosen. The Colemans' attempt to smear me only highlighted their jealousy, and the world saw it clearly. Their posts, meant to wound, instead deepened their isolation. Mother and father went quiet on X after the backlash, their retreat a sign of defeat. Gregory's posts dwindled, his usual arrogance reduced to weak deflections. Vicky's final tweet begged for understanding, but it was too late.